So 1500 to 1800 elo bracket here, and two players likely with a bit of a gap between them. Let's have a look here. Okay, that's the wrong player. But the thing here is Tohobuwaha, as the Nightbot shows, is slightly above 1800 these days, and we have Azu, who was rather low end of the scale here, unfortunately, slightly above 1500 upon sign up, so being placed in the 1500 bracket. We discussed it a bit, and Azu was okay with playing this bracket. That's actually my bad for making an ambitious range of 1500 to 1800. So Azu, low 1500s against Tohobuwaha, slightly above 1800. Did you give sign up priority by alphabet? What do you mean, the other? Oh, oh, for the casting. No. It's I'm to a large extent going by date of recordings submission, but then also doing round one games first, of course, and then moving on. It was mainly a coincidence. So we're in back on Arabia here now. This is a best of three in the 1500 to 1800 bracket. And we have Lithuanians versus Chinese in the draft here, so that's a cool one. Chinese have access to camels in the cast stage, so you should, until Lithuanians can get their hands on a couple of relics, they should have good chance to challenge the Lithuanians knights. But Chinese also, they do start with 3 extra villagers to begin with, but by the looks of it, Azu now with 24 seconds idle TC time is keeping that advantage. He's at with Loom. That's the first thing you get for Chinese, because you start with 0 food and minus 50 wood. But if you're able to get to the food and keep producing from the town center, then you're going to sit at almost a 2 villager lead over your opponent, still going to the next stage. So you could see Chinese going for a 23 pop straight archers, for example, and those 2 of those populations are villagers that you never needed to make if you have a very smooth Dark Age. Or you could go scouts at 23 pop, or maybe even less if you have the food for it, and get a very smooth early uptime with Chinese. So I'm not sure what Azu's plan is yet, but for now, committing to food here, and 4 on wood, so it could be either thing here. Keeps many villagers under the TC for consistent food income here to make sure that the production can be kept going here. Only 24 seconds so far. I think that's pretty good as Chinese, given that you start without food. For Tohobuwaha, I'm going for Lithuanians in the blue here. Now villagers and Loom taking in here, suggesting the feudal age going to kick in very soon here. And 19 pop scouts it is for Tohobuwaha here. 4 on wood. Sometimes you see 3 on scouts, sometimes on 4, but for Lithuanians 4 is definitely justified because you start with some extra foods anyway, so you don't have to stress going into that farm eco, or yeah, you could afford having another villager on wood easily with Lithuanians. Back gold for the blue player here, side gold over here, main gold somewhat close to the TC. Going to call for some ambitious walling here, but with the right kind of walling on this side here, then you could actually keep 3 golds somewhat within your safe walls here. Azu is 1545, but didn't play ranked for a while. Okay. But that's a solid mid 1500s then. I've seen Azu play with Air Esports in team games, and a very solid team player, so that's cool to see him signing up for 1v1s as well. 25 seconds to go for feudal age for Tohobuwaha here. Azu should probably be expecting scouts here. Azu meanwhile on the way to the feudal age with the Chinese and going to gold here. No barracks just yet, but by the looks of it, with plans of a straight arches build here going into gold now. Nice preemptive palisade on the food income here, means that the scouts will at least need to run around here, I think, to hit the villagers. 3 to gold, here's the barracks as well, 50 seconds to go to the feudal age, so that should be going up just in time. Walls, however, might be denied here by the starting scout of Tohobuwaha here. And yeah, scouts in production for Tohobuwaha here. Maybe Asu can get away with the walling here actually. Now just missing this section here will maybe wall like this. And with feudal age soon kicking in here for Chinese, you have the option for spears to defend as well. So lots of villagers time being committed here, but that's a necessary evil to get the walls up and to try and keep the scouts out. Now only missing the southeast side here. Unfortunately, doesn't get that palisade up in the time, so now Tohobuwaha is gonna get in with scouts and actually not get the villain kill there. So good save by Asu. Spearmen come out as well. Means that this palisade could be completed and berry picking to be continued. So no kills for Tohobuwaha with the opening here, so that's good to see. Second rage now going up for the Chinese player. Very ambitious walls for the Lithuanians over here though, been going pretty far out. That could be punished by the archers forward of Asu, as it's harder to keep to wall behind archers. Aggression. Still no walls on this side though, but Tohobuwaha doesn't seem to recognize that either. Meanwhile, Asu has lost the starting scout, which can be a bit of a setback here. Two villagers lead for Tohobuwaha as well, so that could be that the investment into walls to keep the scouts out and the stress moment that introduced here for Asu could mean that that's delaying the farms and food eco progression here. Going into spearmen as was necessary as well, that's also a food and wood investment, so that makes it maybe a bit more awkward to keep the TC producing. Asu actually completely idling the TC right now, waiting for the farm eco to kick in after being taken off the berries initially. Oh, some ambitious walls here for Asu, at least knowing that there are still scouts on the field. Will be chasing down the scouts with the spears though, so by keeping the spears close to whichever villager will be going out to wall, these walls should still be going up. One villager down for Asu though, and Tohobuwaha with less idle TC time, almost none in fact, is fortifying an economic lead here and a transition to the next stage. Let's see. Archers, scouts and skirms now entering. Asu failing to complete the walls here before the follow-up enters here from Tohobuwaha. House foundations here to maybe keep it out for a bit, and spears still in place here. The problem being that the skirmishers now on the field and being Lithuanians once faster at that will counter the spearmen so that the scouts can more freely engage. There's now only one woodline left for Tohobuwaha to safely take here, and that's not the most efficient one ever either. House foundation to go up here, probably some palisades as well to keep the scouts out. Still the skirmishers with fletching, meaning they have 3 range. They could maybe reach some of this woodline, depending on where the lumberjacks are collecting resources. 15 to 11 military now. Azu is forward with the archers. Doesn't quite find a point of entry here just yet. And Tohobuwaha with the skirms defensive investment will be pulling some more back home now to deal with this small trickle of Chinese archers forward. See the blacksmith getting the armor as well, so now the blue skirmishers will have both attack and armor in while, and some good multitasking here by Tohobuwaha, keeping some skirmishers at home to defend and keeping the offensive going with the scouts and skirmishers forward as well. Oh, that's a dangerous one to wall out the foragers like this. But most of the aggression is inside the base of Azu here, so maybe it makes sense to wall like that actually, to not let scouts engage easily. Skirmishers annoying yet again here on the wood income, and Azu tries to relocate outside here. That's interesting move. Oh, so then that looked like a double click on the villagers as well. He's going to pull these villagers to a neutral woodline, maybe. I'm not sure what the plan is here. Meanwhile, we have Lithuanians on the way up to the next stage, and that, for some reason, they censored GG by the looks of it. And of course, a huge elo gap between these two players, and understandably so, Azu feels a little bit outmatched here and calls the GG at minute 19:18 here. So we'll go to the excuse me, next game shortly. Just a quick look at the stats first. Very clinical scouts into skirmishes play there by Tohobuwaha. I think for Azu's sake, if he'd committed to walling this section earlier, although it seems broader than going for the small one over here, then the scouts and skirmishers could have been kept out for longer. It may have been delaying the inevitable, of course, but yeah, at least the game could have gone on for a bit more. Solid Chinese start though. That's impressive from Azu to have so little idle time with the Chinese, starting without food and wood. I think it was 24 seconds, which is more than decent to keep a 1.5 villagers lead or more over the opponent, depending on the opponent's progress. More food and wood for blue here. Up times 8:51. Pretty clean 19 pop scouts with Lithuanians there. And also a clean feudal age with Chinese for a little higher pop. I think it was 23. Villager production seems consistent for both as well, for the most part. And the issue being the scouts and skirms investment just completely hard countering the Chinese straight archers approach, unfortunately. So we'll bring up game 2 here. That will be on Azu's home map, which for the occasion is Lowland. So we're seeing Lowland again, second time today. It's exactly as it sounds like. There's kind of a pit in the middle. Could almost be reminiscent of Golden Pit here. But there's not just gold, but there's gold and bigger woodlines to be taken. You could wall off your home area here and play it safe and try for some fast castle shenanigans. The setback on that being that you'd risk having to wall out your golds here. And yeah, one gold there. Where is the other one for Tohobuwaha here? Ouch! That's all the way out there. That's a horrible gold generation for the blue player here. That's something that Azu with the Tatars could use to his advantage here. Yeah, semi-forward gold there, 2 tiles for Tohobuwaha, and then the other one all the way over. There's so many tiles out. So not the best map ever for Tohobuwaha here with the Berbers. Will have to rely on some serious early aggression here to not be completely denied of gold early on here. So Azu with the Tatars for this one wants to exploit the fact that the Tatars get extra hill damage. So a 25% extra for Tatars when they are uphill from their opponent's units. Forward weather is here, not the prettiest in the world. Side here, no woodlines to the left-hand side here, so a full wall-off is going to be costly here for Azu. In return, though, the gold in the back here, while it's a little spot with only 700 or so, 1600 actually, so 2 times 800 gold. And the second one also way out. It's a horrible map generation for these two. But at least it's similar for both, that the second gold is far out. Hopefully we'll be seeing some really open map and maybe some extended feudal age aggression here and not a full wall off into turtle style playing. Forward could be suggesting an infantry opening here for Azu. More likely to be men at arms than to be the Drush here, I think, because by going for the Drush here and the extended Dark Age, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to the Berbers scouts opening, since you are likely not to be able to full wall your side here easily. So 14 villagers to 17. What's going on here? Azu has had a little bit of idle time here, some idle eco as well. Bit of a rough start here. Could be struggling for the food sources. Maybe the boars are quite forward here. Not ideal. And that idle eco timer is partly because of this one as well. On the other side here, the Berbers with the pushing and some deer here. Both boars have been taken by the looks of it, and Tohobuwaha is now at 21 pop and no idle TC time whatsoever. Quite little idle eco time as well. Going for the second lumber camp now, and there's Loom, so we'll be seeing a 22 pop scouts to, well, yeah, more or less as smooth as it can be here. That could be devastating for Azu with a slower uptime now behind this. Not being able to go into spears, we'll have to rely completely on quick walls here. Trying to push in some deer here now. That's also going to sacrifice some early scouting. But at least being Tatars, you would have a solid food source in the sheep, giving 50 extra food here. And but I think some preemptive walls will soon be in order. With the feudal age kicking in for the opponent, then that's going to be your rewarding sign to start preemptively securing your very exposed eco here. It's a roughly 1 minute... 1 minute 10 seconds difference between the uptimes here, and Azu at 23 pop up here actually, so... So we'll have a stronger economy in that sense going into the next age, but as a return, that later feudal age could be devastating against the first few scouts from Tohobuwaha here. Now walling off here has a solid position to wall off here. This is just a quick game, couple of quick houses away, but you'd want to maybe plug that gap as well. Probably not being scouted because it's near the edge of the map. Here comes the stable with 2 villagers, as is quite customary for the scouts opening, and we'll horse collar and double bit axe kicking in immediately upon reaching feudal age as well. 250 food here to start queuing villagers, and at least a couple of scouts here. with the scout forward here for Tohobuwaha as well could delay whatever Azu has in mind. Yeah, the stable goes down right next to TC so that the enemy scouts won't be able to deny that, so that's a good call. If Eco allows for Azu here, I would go straight into some spearmen as well. Preemptive walls on the woodlines, that's a perfect preemptive measure to try and keep the scouts out here when full wall is not an option. The woodline situation for Azu is worse than the case of the Tohobuwaha though, so a bit of an unfair map here for the player who is also to be considered the underdog in this matchup. Two versus 1 here though, easy win for Azu's scout, even as Spearman in the mix. Maybe Azu will fend off this scouts rush nicely actually. 3 scouts for Tohobuwaha, economy is safe, although a little bit idle here, not the end of the world. 26 villagers to 28, so keeping up nicely here. Populations roughly similar here. Azu goes for the counter-attack, it seems, and feels confident here to be able to hit the enemy's side. With any luck, might run into an overchop here, but that's still 40 something wood to go before the scouts can enter here, unfortunately. Even a preemptive palisade on the woodline there to keep that aggression from entering. This kind of looks like an opening, but Azu will still be bumping into walls here. Blacksmith going up just now, could be Tohobuwaha wants to go into upgrades for the units here, the scouts, only 3 scouts to benefit from that, or simply just preparing for the transition to the next stage. Oh, but Azu finds the overshot, perfect timing for the scouts to enter right here. They are Tatar scouts as well, this villager will be going down no matter what, if he is moving close towards the edge there, but good recognition by Tohobuwaha there to re-wall as well, to keep 2 of the scouts out. I think that was probably a good call by Azu to chase and get that 1 villager, but that was also a necessary sacrifice for Azu to keep all the 4 scouts from entering. However, it evens out the villager situation. Azu now with 32, Tohobuwaha with 30 villagers here. Azu is going to follow this up with archers, going for the extended village here. That's going to be extremely dangerous against Berbers here that are now only 200 food shy of clicking to the cast stage. Berbers also have cheaper knights and camels, cheaper cavalry units in the cast stage with a 15% discount. So you'll have an easier time massing knights out of multiple stables with Berbers, and that's just going to punish the archers forward quite heavily here. Of course, archers are a good call here still if you're expecting an extended feudal age play. You could use that range to gold specifically here. If Azu's scouting is on point, would know that this is the only gold that Tohobuwaha can take. So this should be the one and all priority here for Azu's archers forward now. Deny this gold and Tohobuwaha will need to relocate, and there won't be too many knights entering the field upon reaching the castle age. Looks like that's exactly the plan here. Just two archers is more than enough, as long as we have some scouts to accompany them as well, so that the enemy scouts can't easily engage here. No stable upgrades for Tohobuwaha's scouts here either. So this is playing this bad map generation for both players very well here to take the players off the very much needed resources. Look at the scouts moving out here as well to see if Tohobuwaha is in fact relocating to a different gold. It's going to be spotted right away by Azu there. I think he saw them. And hope you didn't watch the first game. We did, Azu. But you got a little bit unlucky with the walling, I would say, for the early scouts and skirts there. And that would have been a better game for you if the walls had gone up in time to the sides. But home map play is solid. First game of the day. I know the feeling. Home map play seems solid so far though, denying Tohobuwaha of gold, but now with Castle Edge kicking in, we have a TC going up, much needed in the middle here for the Lithuanian, the Burris player. Meanwhile, we have Azu going up to the next age as well, now 2 minutes 20 seconds away. Second range going up as well. Could be cab archers in the on the agenda here. Still some gold access in the back here as well, so but then after this one is depleted, one will need Azu to move into the middle for further gold access as well. A few knights out on the field for Tohobuwaha already, getting husbandry and producing knights out of the other one. So Castle Edge armies will be at significant numbers before Azu can get up. Meanwhile, we have archers here to potentially benefit from a crossbow upgrade, or if Azu wants to go straight into the cav archers here for their raiding potential as well. Preemptive house walls and a market here to try and keep the knights out is a good call, but there's also a lot of area to cover here for Azu. Not to mention that the gold is going to run out, and that's the issue of lowlands here. You have to venture into the middle to get access of the neutral resources. Some builders moving out here will be spotted by Tohobuwaha, unfortunately. I'm not sure what the idea was here, to take a neutral TC on the woodland, maybe. It's going to be 2 dead builders though, and no TC over here. Map control very much in favor of the blue player here now, with 4 knights, 3 scouts, and a spear on the field, but also 3 TCs behind all this. With Berbers, that is a civilization that has an easier time affording knights behind a boom. Akkal-AOE, hello! How are you? I wanted to have TC in the middle, but haven't scouted the middle yet, so I just sent them out in the fog. Ah! Yeah, I see. I'm not daring to use the fog of war in fear of bugs with the current spectation bug that's going on, so so I'm keeping it all visible for the most of the time here. That's a bit of an unfortunate thing, but that's the way it is for now. Blue here with only 1 armor on knights, so cav archers and archers could still get some decent engagements here. We'll pull the armies over here to make sure that Tohobuwaha can't get any easy hits in here. TC going up on the woodland as well, that will secure this woodland here very nicely for the player going into the Tatars cav archers here. Yeah, running into the scout there is just maximum bad luck, man. I mean, it's good positioning by Tohobuwaha for sure, but still. So you see the presence of blue on the map here makes it a lot more tough for Azu to take the middle and get to that gold access, and this gold mine just got depleted. Now going to stall, maybe with hopes of a castle to assume some position in the middle and secure some golds. Cav archers reaching decent numbers though, but the gold is going to be an issue soon enough. Tohobuwaha spreading out nicely here to have a maximum potential of the knights raids as well, and making it tough for Azu to withstand the pressure. 9 knights now on the field, 12 cav archers. Archers and spears should be doing decent work here though, and trapping the knights. That's a beautiful one by Azu here, to not allow the knights to pass through here towards the TC. This is completely closed off, and that's a clean off up of a couple of knights there, with some very strategically placed house foundations here from the red player. Meanwhile though, the middle control is very much in Tohobuwaha's side here, even dropping a siege workshop now. Scorpions to defend against cav archers, maybe? Yeah. But gold is going to be an issue here. Tohobuwaha has consistent gold income. Azu will need to take the middle somehow to take the present. Note that he has 10 on stone now. And while that's going to be useful to get a castle up to secure middle position, it also takes 10 villagers off much needed other resources. So that's an investment you don't want to find yourself to be needing at this stage of the game. Mobility of cav archers being used here though, could be getting some good rates in here now on Tohobuwaha with a 13 villagers lead here at the moment. None of the TC is producing right now by the looks of it actually. So another good pick off for Azu here and putting up a good fight against a player almost 300 elo above here. So good game so far. Is able to take the gold here as well. So Azu has found some gold access here to keep cav archers production sustained. I'd have to assume camels wouldn't be half bad here either, but of course you'd always be outnumbered by berbers, and it's gold heavy. If you want to go for 2 gold units, maybe not a great option here. +2 defense is in for Tohobuwaha, still losing some knights here along the way, and Azu now with the military lead in terms of numbers here. Oh, but the middle TC gets denied of Azu here. That's some great map presence, map awareness by Tohobuwaha here to have units placed or some presence along the map here to make sure that gold access is still very limited for Azu here. Both seem to have somewhat healthy setups here though, but Azu with the lower villager count will be lagging behind for the late game setup here, unless you can get some good raids in. For example, on the very exposed zone here, that should be 5 easy snipes for the cav archers here. And yeah, again, I don't dare toggling the fog of war here in fear of bugs, but the TC will be going up here with cav archers to protect it, and the overall military situation is still even between the players. The difference being the economy behind it, where Tohobuwaha now is at 3 stables with consistent production here, siege workshop making some scorpions as well. So it's going to be a knights and scorpions push for Tohobuwaha here, something that's always difficult to fend off. Light cav raids. Light cav or scout? Light cav on the move for Tohobuwaha. Again, idling Azu's home TC here. And 70 cav archers total now. Will have a tougher time engaging once the scorpion numbers can reach a decent mass here as well. Scorpions shoot through multiple units, so that's tough. That's a lot of wood. Yeah, you could say that. Azu has been raided constantly at home here and had to build that second TC on woodland and didn't get one down in the middle until a bit later, so that's why the economy is a bit off here. Of course, the micromanagement attention to cav archers as well is coming into play here. Stone situation suggesting a castle now though. Castle going up near the TC here to make sure that this gold is just completely secured for Azu. Doesn't want to risk going further into the field here, but wants to fortify the position over here for further army production. Good raids on this side as well, trying to snipe a monk here, bringing in relic. Only 1 relic so far for Tohobuwaha. Imperial Edge, however, on the way for Tohobuwaha here, and the Scorpions doing work against the cav archers as well. This could be a game deciding factor right here to see this Scorpions and then Imperial Edge kicking in 2.5 minutes. We'll see how it turns out in the end. Good raids from the cav archers inside base here, though their fire delay is probably annoying like crazy here. You can't snipe villagers as quickly as skipjacks or ran good I could, and here come the Scorpions and Knights to finish it off, and these precious Cav Archers, which take some time to mass, are now down to 11 against Tohobuwaha now with 26 military, and a choke point there that's not gonna work against the crossbows. Ay. Pike switch now for Azu, but the Imperial Age still miles away. To force up a castle like this is some serious commitment when you aren't able to mine gold to the same rate as the opponent is doing here. Imperial Age 1 minute 15 away now, which means that Tohobuwaha could start pressuring with trebs as well, and that might be the end of the game with that Imperial Age kicking in. 87 population to 144 is a factor as well. Cavalier will be an option with the 16 knights here for Tohobuwaha, and I believe even Hussar for Berbers here for even further raiding here. More ranges going up, so Azu likely wants to double up on the Cav Archer production, but losing villagers left and right here now, down 30 villagers. With some, albeit weak knights chasing here, and the Tatar's camels enter the field now to try and clean up those weak knights. And that's the Imperial Age, and as understandably so, Azu calls GG, but well played against a, on paper, elo-wise, much stronger opponent here. 250, 300 elo gap here between the two. So see the eco situation here. Azu did a great call to deny Tohobuwaha of the only gold inside his base here. Yeah, that's a gold still being mined actually, but that was the only one inside the base, so forcing Tohobuwaha to relocate. Though they were already on the way to the Castle Age, and TC in the middle was in the line of thinking there. But denying gold on the way up to the Castle Age for Berber still obstructs their Knights production come the Castle Age, so that's a good use of the few archers that Azu was making before the Cav Archer transition. Military score KD 91 to 64, so we see there's been a bit of good raids for Azu here as well. Largest army for the Berbers player. And overall stronger economy, being earlier to the Castle Age and earlier to the multiple TCs, and finally the Imperial Age to finish it off. Yeah, the raids non-stop was always tough to handle, and this map just invites for it as well. It's so hard to secure the core resources like gold especially. But still well played, Azu.